Okay, so as you guys know, we do alliances, and the alliances choose the songs that we listen to. And it just so happened that Northern Scoundrel won the alliance pick for his group. He's part of the Extreme Underground. And so he chose this song, Chthonic. How do you say that?
Chthonic.
Chthonic, Broken Jade.
Band, I think.
This unique band from Taiwan features heavy use of traditional Taiwanese instruments. The band members are all political activists for a free Taiwan, and as such are banned in China. Their lead singer was the chairman of the Taiwanese chapter of Amnesty International and has been a legislator in the Taiwanese free government since 2016.
Wow. All right, here we go. Chthonic, Broken Jade. Let's do it.
Ocean
Wow. Wow. They did really well with this. They did really, really well. I loved how they incorporated. There was instruments in there that I didn't recognize, so that must have been their traditional instruments that they use. Man, living under oppression.
There's something really liberating and beautiful about hitting a certain point where you're like, I do not care if I live or die.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And only a small percentage of people know what that feels like. And I'm not talking about like in a suicidal sense.
Exactly.
I'm talking about going into a situation and having very bad odds.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very specific kind of even like a D-Day type situation. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you have a genuine beef with your enemy, like a genuine beef, and you really do not care if you live or die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an extremely liberating experience and terrifying afterwards.
I can imagine.
But
wow.
it's a kind of, and I don't know if you know, there's probably an evolutionary sort of explanation for that in the sense that you probably get rushed with certain types of endorphins as a survival mechanism or whatever. But once you get over that hump, once you get over that hump and you're like, I truly, truly, truly don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the part of, you know, looking at the video and, you know, the guy, you know, his little dinky little plane's going after all these destroyers or whatever, and you know that you're not gonna, that feeling, at least I don't know anybody that's had that feeling like forever. Like it's only been in certain situations. It's only been in certain kinds of situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's a very, you know, like I said, I'm always so conflicted, you know, because I hate the celebration of violence, but there's a certain kind of, I was just on the phone with somebody about this earlier. I was on the phone with one of my villager people. We like had to understand. He just got home and like he's out, and I was trying to encourage him. I was just like, just, you know, it's just like Brady. I just stay home, man, for a year, and you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's a little bit early for him. Whereas, you know, but it was, and the music was so fucking beautiful, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and at the same time, I'm also conflicted because I'm an American, and my folks, you know, I'm not one of these people like, well, if I didn't do it, then I'm not going to have any guilt or whatever. And I don't walk around feeling guilty. I just walk around with the knowledge that my folks have gone through the planet and done whatever the hell we've wanted to whoever we've wanted to, and taken people's shit and taken their land and all the rest. So how can I say, China, what you've done with Tibet and Taiwan, and we don't have any moral, I can't say that as an American. I could say it as a human being. Like, that's fucked up, and it's inspiring to see.
Oh wow, that's an interesting, yeah.
China or the Ukrainians standing up to Russia. That human spirit, because none of us were made to be subservient to the other. We were all image bearers of God, crowned with glory and honor, and we're all supposed to stand on our 2 feet and respect one another.
Mm-hmm.
If I see you, I'm seeing God. I should treat you as if I would treat the Most High. And so we all know that, whether, you know, out front with your ego or subliminally, I don't care what you want to say. We all know that. And so when people stand up against that kind of oppression, it's just a beautiful thing. And if they stand up to the point where they say, look, I would rather die. I'd rather die than live that way. And I'd rather die than...
That was firecrackers, right? I mean, I just heard our front door. Our kids need to not be nosy. We just had all that situation happen.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something other than firecrackers.
Okay, well then why are they opening up the door?
Because they're curious and they don't live in the ghetto, so they don't understand when that shit happens to stay away.
To use some wisdom.
But I'll tell them.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, you were actually the one that was in the middle of talking, but it was absolutely beautiful. I loved the way that they put the song together, and the instruments and stuff, and I think that a little bit of the music
keep the
video
door closed
and stay inside.
Okay, and stay inside. Okay, love you. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me based on what happened a couple days ago.
That's exactly why I'm saying that.
Some folks got out there.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah.
So you were talking.
But yeah, I don't feel any guilt as an American because of the sins of my father, because all of us have sins and Jesus paid for my sins, and I also believe that Jesus paid for national sins. The question is, now that you're here and your fathers have done evil, how do you bless people? Mm-hmm. And because the mission of the people of God ultimately is blessing. So how do I take my privilege as an American to bless people? Which is why I always talk about we bombed 30 pine nut farmers. Mm-hmm. We bombed way more people than that, but slimming down the number makes it more understandable to people.
Yeah, a smaller number and then giving their occupation, so it's like they were just farmers.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, as an American, I can't justly condemn the Chinese or the Russians for. I mean, we've got submarines in every major body of water threatening everyone, including our allies. People have no idea the breadth and the span of the U.S. military, and the fact that we've got the entire fucking planet on gunpoint. And Death Man's like, oh, it's World War III, it's the end of the world. Man, ain't gonna be no World War III, bro. Stop. Everybody was saying there's gonna be World War III when we killed Soleimani. And I said, no, there isn't. Everybody's like, what do you know about it, Vin? There's gonna be World War III. It's the same thing. We supposedly pulled out of Syria, and then the Syrians were supposedly gonna get genocide by the Turks, which I was like, that's not gonna happen. Mm-hmm. But my point is, like, I'm not necessarily worried about World War III. But you cannot, as an American, justly condemn any of these people. Mm-hmm. It's complete hypocrisy. But as a human being, you can say, holy shit, China, maybe there's a different way, right? And I look, I don't even believe necessarily that we should impose ourselves physically on any of these situations. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't believe that we should. I'm not an isolationist, but I do think we should hold back on...
Why?
What do you mean?
Why shouldn't we get involved?
Because then we'll be getting involved everywhere.
It's going to be endless.
And like I said...
So you think that just when something gets real major?
We've got no moral authority in the world to do that. Mm-hmm. We've got everybody at gunpoint, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I just don't think that Americans should be, we're not going to go to China, tell them what to do with Taiwan. We're not going to go to Russia and tell them what to do with Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Like, we can't do that. Now, if there's like and these guys, but it was just so inspiring. It's so inspiring to me, like, listening.
Inspiring for what?
To that
to
song.
What end? To what end?
And the willingness that they had to say, I'm willing to... Now, a lot of that shit is rhetoric, because if it was really like that, you guys would be all in there, and they're not. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I'm saying? The only people, really, that I've seen in the last 30 years, when they say, look, we're going to fight to the death, we don't care if we win or lose, are the Islamic terrorists.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in, like... rooms with those dudes and talk to them, and they're dead ass serious. They're willing to sacrifice. They're willing to send their body. their children's body parts all through the freaking the market, whatever. Like, they're really, really about that shit. But that's because they have a religious over and undertone to their motivation, whereas these people just want to live free and live out from under oppression. But there are a bunch of people there that do have that mentality where if their nation called them to do it, they would do it. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I love I just love that about the human spirit, man. I love that human spirit. Like, we're not gonna lay down and take this. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I love that.
I agree with you. I was putting the babies to bed the other night, and like, you know, I've not been a very political person throughout my entire life. I felt more compelled to be spiritual. And so there was enough to learn about spiritual things that I didn't really waste my time with, because I felt like politics was just really a bunch of lies and deception. And it was hard to wade through and figure out what was actually going on. But anyway, but obviously you can't be married to Vin without understanding and knowing what's going on politically. So, you know, you'll bring up the pine nut farmers a lot. And obviously that's like very real to me about that. And then, you know, we had watched this other documentary about the Gaza Strip and stuff like that. And, you know, these people are feeding their children condiments because their rations are so low. And I was tucking Orion into bed, and I felt in my heart, like, cause it took me a long time to get, I had my first child, and then it was just years of not being able to get pregnant, and I had a miscarriage and that. So like the value when you experience loss and the amount of time like that, like, it changes, and you realize like how valuable something or someone is when it's impossible to really get there. And so here I have I'm putting the boys to bed, my two sons, and I couldn't even believe that I have two children close to the same age. And as I'm tucking Orion into bed, I was thinking of, like, in that moment, like in those moments when I'm tucking them in, like, there's all this hope that's inside of me of all that they could become and whatever, you know, God has planned for them to do in the world, and what things they could be. And I was tucking him in, and I'm not worried that a bomb could randomly hit our house. And I know that there are parents that tuck their kids in at night and they don't know, you know, and having to live with this idea that at any point something like that could happen. And I thought, they're parents just like me. They have the same hopes and dreams for their kids. And like, the oppression that some people have to live under is just absolutely horrible. But I think that people like this are very important, like, to see that sort of energy, you know, to see that. Yeah, his name is Orion Phoenix.
Yeah, I got the idea for his name at a Behemoth show.
He did. He did.
Basis. His name is Orion.
He convinced me because he used the Bible. I was like, fine. Although now I'm okay with it. I had to warm up to the...
Could you imagine him named anything else other than Orion now? I mean, real.
Yeah.
He'll say, "What's up, Fudgy?" You'll be like, "I'm Orion.
I'm Orion.
I'm Orion."
Yeah.
He's got a strong sense of self.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I don't believe that the end of the world is nigh. I think we've got literally tens of thousands of years of world history and human history left on terra firma. You know, the world wars were supposedly the wars to end all wars, and everybody was terrified. And the Red Scare happened, and everybody was terrified. Like, I refuse to bow to this fear mongering and all the rest of it. And I understand. And I take this shit seriously. I took COVID seriously. I still take it seriously.
Yep.
But there's a difference between taking shit serious and saying that the sky's gonna fall. You know what I'm saying?
And just living in just terror and fear.
No disrespect to anybody that thinks the sky's gonna fall, but I don't think the sky's gonna fall. I just think that, you know, eventually we're gonna figure it out. But there's nothing closer to God to me than the human spirit, man. Like, that's a divine moment where people are like, nah, bruh, nah, we're not doing that. You know, and I you know, Davey, you know, I know that Davey's about that life. You know, when he says live free or die, I know for a fact that dude is serious. You know what I'm saying? And you know, because he's seen death, he's smelt death, he's, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And until you've been in those situations, you know, most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about as far as, like, I would rather die. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think due to the massive globalization of economy, supply chain, and logistics, large-scale warfare between developed countries is pretty much done. I 1,000% agree. I 1,000% agree with you. We've got too much, mutual assured poverty. There's a difference between mutual assured destruction and mutual assured
That's
poverty.
true. You're right. That is true.
Nobody wants to go back to the fucking Stone Age, man.
Nope.
Especially after the whole COVID situation.
Nope.
And everybody globally is feeling this in developed countries, and
Yep.
people's standard of living, spoiled ass Westerners and spoiled ass, Easterners are like, fuck this shit, man. Look, if one of these countries decides that they're really going to do some crazy shit, I really believe the whole world would just turn against them and get rid of them. Like,
You'd probably be right.
Yeah. You're not going to have a giant world war, especially now that there's one superpower on the planet. The only way I could really truly see an actual world war is if America lost its mind and tried to do some shit, and people are like, fuck, man, we got to stop the Americans. But other than that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, anyway, but I love the song. What a freaking eclectic mix.
I was gonna say this stream was so funny because it was true. Like what one person said, I can't remember who it was like, I don't know how to prepare. Like, tell me what is next so I know how to prepare for it. So yeah, it's been fun. There we go.
MDeath Fan. Yes, we've had 2 in the last 100 years. And both of those were supposed to be the wars to end all wars. And everything went along the next day. Everybody picked up where they left off. We repaired nations that needed reparation. And we all moved on. What I'm saying is the interconnectedness and the interdependency and the interaction that the media, social media, the internet, global markets, globalization has created makes it so that now we are much more intertwined with each other and more dependent on each other economically. And now we all have a certain kind of standard of living now that we did not have in the early 1900s.
That changes things.
And the 1930s, et cetera, that lead. Furthermore, there's nuclear proliferation, which we did not have back then. So I understand your concern and what you're saying, but I do not believe we're going to have a third world war. And if we do have a third world war, it's not going to be the war that ends the world. It's just not. I don't believe that. And, like I said, learn from history. We've never been in a situation like this in the human family ever.
Yep.
Where you can literally, these guys are playing music. They're not allowed in China. China won't let them play. How much you want to bet millions of Chinese kids know this band, though? And there's lots of ways to skin a cat. One way to skin a cat is Taiwan says, let's go to war, and China says, let's go to war. Another way to skin a cat is to make a bunch of music like this.
Yep.
Influence a bunch of Chinese youth.
Yep.
And then when that group cycles off and dies,
they say, hey, wait, yeah.
Influenced by these metalheads are going to say, you know what, fuck this shit. Let's fucking free Taiwan and let's have a giant festival in China and Taiwan over the next month. That could also happen. MDeath Fan. That could also happen. I mean, subhanAllah, we did this in the previous thing where you had Christmas truces, where the regular people, the people murdering each other the day before, laid down their weapons, played soccer, exchanged chocolate, and had a beer with each other. So, the trajectory of this stuff is going in the positive direction, guys. The only reason everybody's freaking out every 2 seconds is because we've got a 24-hour news cycle, and these guys have to sensationalize this shit because they need ratings. But all this doomsaying and all this shit, is come on. I don't think that we need to worry about this doom and gloom. I think we need to be wise. Scripture says be wise as serpents and gentle as doves, but where do you see this panic? Especially if you believe in God. What the fuck is all this panic about? Ridiculous. Anyway, shout out to Taiwan. Shout out to China. Shout out to Russia. Shout out to Ukraine.
Controller 5. He's leaving his own stream. You're welcome.
Later. Stay for the rating though. What do you get this off?
This is a 9.1.
This is a 9.98 for May. Really good one. And I am more worried about climate change than I am about this thing. For show. I don't care if you saw my last two messages.
I don't know. I don't care.
Sent you a message. Daddy, I told you to stop sending us money, bitch.
He's like, yeah, that's what you said, but then you didn't see my message. So
you
lied.
You lied.
You freaking liar.
No, I didn't see the last two messages. Maybe you texted me. I'm going to send you an email. Yeah, we got your email. Now we got to send you 2 shirts because basically the equivalent of the super chats is the equivalent of the free shirts. And now we're going to send you 2 shirts. So maybe you got a friend at rehab. Tell your friend if he gets out, we'll send him a shirt too. So there you go. All right, there you are. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.